Last week at Kokomo, J.R. Shepard became the fourth different driver to win in this series, getting his first win of the season. Tyler Jackson was suspended for last week's race, and as a result, we now have 3 drivers battling for the points lead coming into tonight. It's the second to last race of the season, with race number 10 of the Dirt Street Stock Series, hosted by the Bootleg Racing League, live on the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Gary Weaver, and with me in the booth, as always, is Devin Henry. Pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak. He's using cameras set up and provided to us by Dougie Beard. Before we get underway with the track that many drivers will, of course, be loving to race at here for tonight, let's see how we get around Volusia with our GSRC lap guide.
Welcome to Barberville, Florida and Volusia Speedway Park, a track that bills itself as the world's fastest half mile, as a sprint car holds the record around here at 12.5 seconds. That's even more incredible when you look at the track. While it's listed as an oval, the backstretch has more of a D shape, and the corners are long and sweeping enough that even down the front straight, in some cars, you're never going truly straight here. And the turns, while banked, they are only banked at about 10 degrees, so it is those long, sweeping corners that really help those high downforce cars keep the power down. Volusia wasn't always paved, even held some NASCAR races in the late 80s and early 90s, but the asphalt was tore up and the dirt put back in around 1998. Since then, in addition to your weekly complement of street stocks, late models, and modifieds, the World of Outlaws makes trips to Volusia every February. The sprint cars one week, followed by the late models the next, all a part of the annual Dirt Car Nationals. Can't forget the UMP Modifieds tearing up the clay surface here as well. They make several trips here a year. Now it's time to see if today's crowd can claim a win at the world's fastest half mile.
And that is your explanation for Volusia. This is a great shot. As you can see, that back straight is curved, essentially a D-shaped oval. And, well, it's something to really play into effect for tonight. Before we get underway with our information and our details for tonight, we'd like to remind you that this season has been brought to you by The Cruise Shop, and The Cruise Shop has been in operation since 1986. They are a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel, and they specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. You can give them a call today at 260-755-6125, or you can visit thecruiseshopfw.com. The Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams one destination at a time. And right now we're going to hand it over to Devin Henry, who more than likely has all of the information on Volusia Speedway.
Well, Gary, you mentioned this is a D-shaped oval, not the kind of D shape that you guys run in ovals typically, or asphalt ovals, I should say, usually run where it's curved on the back straightaway. When you're on the back straightaway, the banking is still actually around 10 degrees on this half-mile oval. It's almost like you don't stop turning the car when you're on the back straightaway. Now, this track was originally Barberville Raceway, because it's in Barberville, Florida, founded back in 1968, built on what was a quarter-mile sand track where they'd raced jalopies, and then in 1987, the track was actually paved, and NASCAR's Xfinity Series ran here 4 different times before it was converted back to dirt in 1998. Gary, some trivia for you. Because this track has hosted NASCAR, and of course, plenty of dirt racing throughout the years, there was one driver who has won both on the asphalt and on dirt. Can you name me that driver?
Oh, I wonder if I can. I'm going to guess actually, no, I don't think I can.
Oh, Tony. Okay, so Joe says Tony Stewart. That's actually a phenomenal guess, but Tony was not running the Xfinity Series back when this track was on asphalt in the late 80s. It's actually, how about this, Kenny Wallace. This is the site of his first ever NASCAR win, the Xfinity Series, way back in the 80s, or in the 90s, I should say. And then, of course, he's a guy who runs a lot of dirt nowadays and won at the Dirt Car Nationals, I believe, in 2007. And so he became the only driver to win on both dirt and pavement here at Volusia. Another track on iRacing just rooted with history.
Definitely a lot of history among these dirt tracks, and something to really just think about as well, as we see the 71 John Hine, who we talked to last week. He is going to be racing here tonight. Devin is going to give us a little bit more information on John Hine's racing history, I guess, here with the league. But first up, Devin, what's with our race details here this afternoon?
Well, guys, we're coming down to the wire. This is the penultimate race in the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series, round 10 of 11, before we conclude and crown a champion in season 3, at Charlotte. This is a heat race format. We will have 6 cars in every heat race. The top 3 advance to the A main. Everyone else goes to the B main. Whatever amount of cars we need to make up those 20 cars to make the feature, which tonight we only have 17 entered, so everyone's going to make the feature. But of course, the all-important fast repair, you get just one, so take care of that car because they can beat and bang here at Volusia.
And possibly something to, of course, keep an eye on, and I mentioned off at the top of the broadcast, it's going to be your championship standings here for tonight's race. And as we can see, only 28 points separate your entire top 3. Tyler Jackson pretty much has lead bitten into by both Justin Morton and Steven Spees, both 23 and 28 points behind Jackson respectively. Aiden Young, Michael Redding rounding out 4th and 5th in your championship standings. And with Tyler Jackson being suspended from last week's race due to jumping the initial start as well as a restart just a couple weeks ago at Williams Grove, I believe. Well, this is what happens. Tyler Jackson maybe a little bit worried, especially with how we've been seeing the points shape up, and this is going to be something to keep an eye on heading into not only tonight but also next week.
But when you look at the top 5 in points, the difference is that there are 7 combined wins in the top 5. 5 of those 7 have came from Tyler Jackson, though. Jackson, who hasn't even put a practice lap down yet, we know he likes to go lane sessions, and hopefully he is in fact here. But this is a race track that, of course, Tyler Jackson, like most of these tracks, is pretty dang good at. Won the race last season and was also fast qualifier here at Volusia. I'm not extremely worried, but of course, having that suspension last week and letting everyone catch up to him, hey, anything can go crazy as we get down to the wire in a season.
We're taking a look as drivers make their rounds here in practice. If anyone's interested in keeping up to date with the most up-to-date timing here on for tonight's race, you can go ahead and go to GSRC.TV, and you'll see all the live timing currently heading across from tonight's event. So if you want to listen to the broadcast or just keep an eye mainly on your favorite driver, go ahead and pull up GSRC.TV, and you'll be able to keep an eye on your driver and where they are throughout this session.
So looking at our practice standings right now, we have 4.5 minutes before we are done with practice, and then everyone will go out and qualify for 5 minutes. Something different with the BRL leagues is that they are able to have 4 laps of qualifying, and so you kind of get a little bit more gimme, a little bit more room for error, if you will. But looking at this board, if you're only joining us this season, this is the only Bootleg Racing League series that you guys watch, you'll see Jay Hine up on the top. Of course, that right there is John Hine. He talked with us at Kokomo last week. He actually is usually up on top of the scores table, if you will, the scores tower, and he helps monitor the race. He's a race official, if you will, and I don't know why. I would like to know why, but he's entered in the race. He is the fastest practice driver. The last time that John ran in this series, he won that race. It was the championship at Charlotte last season. And so I think that you have Bobby Rafferty in this race. Steven Spees has been running really well as of late. And of course, Tyler Jackson's the guy who has won the most races. But boy, John Hine, how fun would that be if he can come out and try to pull off an upset? First race of the year being 10 races in, Gary.
It'd be an absolutely incredible upset if this was the case, but we have yet to see Tyler Jackson make put in a practice time. He is here. He is going to race tonight. Of course, he is still just doing his usual, like you mentioned, Devin, just waiting around for the end of the session, seeing how everyone is possibly running their lines as well, just making sure everything is A-OK. Unfortunately for Jared Melton, everything is not A-OK from that contact off of what looked to be turn number 2 there. So it's a lot. This track being significantly wide, it's a bit of a unique shape, and just from the track map itself, it almost reminds me of Phoenix International Raceway, just less of a dog leg, and just less of a dog leg really off of turn number 2.
Yeah, and also no cutting, so you can't do that. But also a lot like Phoenix is when you're coming out of over there turn 4, here turn 2, is that wall does come up on you fast. And that's kind of what happened there with Melton. Was you never really feel like you stop turning the car. And sometimes if you let that car float up too much, that wall just comes right at you, especially about a third of the way down the straightaway. The wall actually comes out just a little bit. And so not only does it physically come out at you, but it feels like it's coming out at you too because of how far you let the car float off of turn 2.
Not only turn 2, but turn 4 as well. It just comes up incredibly quickly. I wonder if we could get an onboard shot with somebody, probably Justin Morton as he makes his rounds, but I've had my fair share of literal run-ins, and you see right there. Of course, Morton with a little bit of a low exit, but it's a lot, really. And these onboard shots are always great. You can see, of course, what Zach we're talking about, just how wide it is. Off turn 2, you have so much ample space, and then you go through turns 3 and 4, come off the corner, and next thing you know, you don't have that ample space, and that wall off turn 4 comes at you just pretty quickly. So it's something to keep an eye on. Turn 4 going to be the possible problem spot here tonight.
And even though it is a half mile, it really doesn't feel like there is a ton of straightaway here. You have to get set up for your next corner so quickly after you exit off of one corner, and that's going to cause issues, especially during the consolation and the feature, where you're going to have cars 2, and I'm sure with this series, 3 wide at times, both in and out of corners, and that is going to cause a little bit of chaos being able to know where you need to set your car so that you don't just pile into the guy on the outside of you.
That piling in is something that you definitely don't want to do, especially, well, pretty much any point of this race. But on the bright side, these things, as per usual, are built like tanks that can withstand, well, most damage and still continue running no matter what. So it's, again, really something to just look ahead for as John Hine continues to make his rounds. Hasn't improved on his fastest lap, but his fastest lap in this practice session is a 19.975. Steven Spieth with a 19.999. The second driver, quite literally the only driver as well, with John Hine, to be in the 19-second bracket for tonight.
And something that our producer Joe Peak brought up to us was that the sun is setting, and while it probably won't get completely dark, as it's about 7:15 at night, in sim time it's going to be something where, at least for me, this is one of those tracks where at night it just looks different. Even, and I mean racing on the track, it looks like a different track when you're racing with sunlight and racing when it's dark. And I gotta wonder, might that mess with a few heads, maybe some guys who are in Heat 1 and then come out for the A main, and the track just looks physically different, not just the track state, but the track itself.
Well, qualifying has started. Tyler Jackson has not set a practice time, interestingly enough, so we'll see what he does. Most likely going to wait, as Bobby Rafferty running the same paint scheme that he ran to get his, or at least his same paint scheme that he ran earlier on this season, the paint scheme that he got to win. So we'll see if we can get this back in victory lane as he starts off his qualifying lap. First lap for Bobby Rafferty.
Yeah, Bobby Rafferty, the only multi-time winner this season besides Tyler Jackson, has unfortunately not been able to be with us every single race this season, but always glad when he is out here. He is a great racer, races really clean with everyone, but he is also bad fast as well, and at the top of the board here early.
Listed almost a full second off the pace. John Hine, half a tenth. Ron Snyder knocks Bobby Rafferty off of the provisional pole spot for the time being with a 20.057. 4 laps for these drivers, and well, if they mess up one lap, they have a lot of time and many chances to get that speed once again on any other attempt that they can get. 0.2 of a second slower the last time around was Ron Snyder.
And you see a lot of these guys using the inside. For those of you a little bit newer to dirt racing, that's kind of where you want to be. When the track is nice and tacky and wet, you have a lot of grip to work with. As the night continues to wind down, you will see the dirt slowly move to light brown and then to black. That's where the rubber is physically slicking off the dirt, and you have less traction there. It's basically the opposite of when you're racing road or oval on asphalt, where the more people run there, the more rubber gets on there and it gets grippier. Well, here it gets less grip the more you run on a surface. So right now, guys trying to use that inside line to try to better their speed using everything that they possibly can.
Right now, a huge majority of these drivers have yet to put in their times. Brennan Myers up to the top
How about
of
that?
the scoring pylon from out of nowhere. Great job by him. That was his first completed lap as well. That lap is going to, this paint scheme is bringing him a little bit of luck here tonight, but J.R. Shepard is about to complete his first lap at the start-finish line, and he will fall into the ninth place position here. So J.R. Shepard still trying to get up to speed for the time being, but kind of Kibbe, Jared Melton, Tyler Jackson have yet to set a qualifying time. Kibbe going to be starting his qualifying run.
And of course, J.R. Shepard coming off that win last week at Kokomo. That was his first career Dirt Street Stock Series win with the Bootleg Racing League. And when it comes to the Bootleg Racing League, you guys know him. If you watch a lot of the asphalt stuff, he has won in the Street Stock Series. He's won in the SK Modifieds, in the Legend Series, in the Grand National Series, and also he's won the Stone River Shootout that this multi-series group has done before. But that being his first career Dirt Street Stock win, he has now won in every single Bootleg Racing League series except for the Sprint Cars who are in their first season. So that is a huge accomplishment for J.R. Shepard. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's won in 6 series essentially in the Bootleg Racing League. So, I mean, that was a huge win last week, leading all 40 laps. And so history made, if you will.
Now, Tyler Jackson out on track, about to complete his first timed lap across the start-finish line, and by 3/1000ths of a second. Actually, no, correction, by about 0.0, probably about 100th of a second, I should say. Tyler Jackson will be on the provisional pole just like that. And interestingly enough, he's going to try and continue to better that time. He's got time to do so. And last time at the start-finish line, he will not. He was about 9/10 off from running the top side, probably trying to scrub off speed, trying out the top side, making sure, double checking to see if that will give him an advantage later on. Through turns 3 and 4 he comes off turn number 4, starting his final qualifying lap.
Well, that was quick. Tyler Jackson to the top of the board after a week off at Kokomo. Not faster that time, but still, regardless, he has fast time right now. Only Justin Moore and Drod Melton left on the track right now with any laps left is Tyler Jackson. The bottom feeder has those shark teeth down on the inside wall all the way out and just did not like it. Got a little bit close to the wall there. An exit spin out, trying to stop before he gets to the line. Didn't want to start a new lap there, but it's not really going to matter as time winds down. And then it looks like Tyler Jackson comes fresh out and takes the pole here at Volusia.
And perfect timing as well as the qualifying session comes to an end. It looks like we'll be getting 3 heats actually for tonight to set the field for the feature event. 8 laps, top 3 advance to the feature, but in this case it's going to be a guaranteed every single driver, as we got 17 entries. So starting off in this first heat with your 6-car field for this first heat, it's going to be John Wilson, Robbie Robinson, Spencer Gray, Joe Segala, Bobby Rafferty, and Tyler Jackson. And of course, again, as always, it's an inverted heat format here tonight.
Yeah, so the fastest qualifier starts in the back, being Tyler Jackson. So he has to start in 6th, work his way up. Now, the top 3 transfer directly to the featured event tonight. Now, the back 3, though, they will still have to run a consolation race, and so they will either lose spots or gain spots in that consolation. So here's the deal. If you want to be guaranteed top 9, still got to finish top 3. After that, you could be anywhere from 10th to 17th.
One position can do so much here for these heat races, as the first of 2 pace laps begins here. Pace truck going to cross the start-finish line one more time before pulling off into the pit road. At this point, it's John Wilson going to be leading the field to the green flag here momentarily. Kick off the sunset portion of our night.
One more lap before we get tonight rolling. It is the second to final race of the year. Next Friday night, we will crown a champion for Season 3 of the Dirt Street Stock Series. And of course, like you said, points are really close, Gary, and so we've seen Tyler Jackson many times this year come from the back to the front in the heat race, and this is going to be a bottom feeder track here in heat number 1 with how much grip they're going to have right next to that wall.
John Wilson awaiting the pace truck to pull off. into pit road. As the anticipation builds for tonight. Pace truck pulls off into the pit road. John Wilson will bring them to the green for the first of 3 heat races, the second to last time here in the Bootleg Racing League. And already a great start by pretty much everybody. 4 cars up top. The only ones on the inside, Spencer Gray and John Wilson.
Jackson already 2 spots up, looking to the inside of Joe Segala. He's got a lot of grip down there, easily picks up P3, now looking for second on the inside of Robbie Robinson as John Wilson leads lap number 1.
Bobby Rafferty following Tyler Jackson on the inside lane as Segala and Robinson will run up on the top side. And this is something where Tyler Jackson may not be too used to. So he's going to be trapped here momentarily as the 56 of Robinson slides way up the track. 52 of Wilson leaves the inside lane open off turn number 4. And he'll try and cover it up for the time being, but at the moment, the 52 is going to be sliding up the racetrack, actually, and that's going to leave the inside open. Tyler Jackson will put him to the lead already as he goes to the inside, trying to drag race Wilson. Wilson not letting go from the top side.
Cannot let the inside open this early in the race. You already see Bobby Rafferty now finding the inside of John Wilson. Robbie Robinson right now is just stuck on the outside. There is nothing that he can do to try to get back down to the bottom. The bottom is just as fast as the top right now because of all the grip and moisture in there, and now it's the shorter way around. As the night wears on, it's going to get slicker down there and the outside will become a commodity. But right now, the inside is where you want to be, and it's almost like the opposite of some of those NASCAR races where you see guys trying to poke into the outside, you get contact in the back, and Segala gets turned around.
Quick spin for Segala, no caution since it was, of course, a quick spin, but also relatively in the back half of the field. So at the moment, Segala is going to be falling into the consolation event, and we'll have to make it up. But of course, those positions will be mattering in that consolation event for those final few spots. But in the meantime, John Wilson trying to defend from Robbie Robinson, gets tagged from behind by Spencer Gray on corner entry. Nothing too major as Spencer Gray slides up the racetrack, loses momentum. That's going to leave Robinson the challenge for that 3rd place spot as Wilson gets a tap of the inside wall.
That's going to push him all the way up, and now Robbie Robinson has the preferred lines. We're going to come down to the white flag out of turn number 4. Tyler Jackson and Rafferty checking out from the field, but it's a battle for the transfer spot. Robinson on the inside, John Wilson on the outside. A great view here from Spencer Gray.
Taking the challenge for the lead, Bobby Rafferty going to challenge Tyler Jackson, and Rafferty gets around Tyler Jackson on the inside lane. And that's going to leave Bobby Rafferty to defend from Jackson, and with the last lap pass in turns 1 and 2, Bobby Rafferty will win the first heat race. He'll advance with Tyler Jackson. Robbie Robinson successfully defends Spencer Gray for that 3rd place transfer spot, with Spencer Gray, John Wilson, and Joe Segala going into the consolation event to see where they sort themselves out for the feature.
Well, I tell you what, that was an exciting race there. I wasn't expecting anything to happen up front. I was just expecting that fun battle that we had for the transfer spot. Robbie Robinson coming off of a 3rd place finish last week at Kokomo and now straight to the A main. What happened there is, I don't know, I think Tyler Jackson was just looking to see what the outside was going to do, and he was just way too far outside, and that just gave Bobby Rafferty the win there.
We'll see if that same thing happens in the feature event, but it's something that we have to wait for and get through the next 2 heats as well as the consolation and warm-up event. So for this 2nd heat, we have Derek Neal starting off in the 1st place position with Jared Melton in 2nd, 3rd place being John Hine. J.R. Shepard, keep an eye on him, starts off in 4th. 5th place is Ken Kibbe, and rounded out the 6th car field is Brendan Myers, or Brennan Myers rather.
Yeah, Brennan Lightning McMyers out there. How about qualifying P2? By far his best qualifying effort so far. Usually he finds himself in the front of these heat races and occasionally transfers in. Now he has to make his way from the back in a heat race with Kenny Kibbe, J.R. Shepard, and oh yeah, John Hine, and not to mention Gerard Melton has had some phenomenal finishes on the year. And Derek Neal, he started in the front of some heat races earlier this year, and he has transferred through. This is probably the most level field I think that I've seen in any heat race this year.
With John Hine being essentially a massive challenge based on his race last year at the dirt track at Charlotte, winning last year as well. Granted, it's of course a race earlier than expected. It's again just everyone really to keep an eye on Derek Neal wanting to get this transfer spot easy as possible and relax without having to worry about what position he'll be come the consolation event. Pace truck pulls off, leaving control to Derek Neal, who doesn't get going entirely. 75 Jared Melton gets a much better start than Derek Neal right off the start.
Neal went in low, contact behind between Shepard and Hine. Hine moves to the inside of Derek Neal and puts himself in a P2, contact in the back, and Shepard is in the tires. Exactly like what we saw in heat race number 1, they go 3 wide. In this case, the inside car moves up, and just a domino effect here on the very first lap of the race.
And fortunately for J.R. Shepard, he'll have to go into the consolation event. But it was just, like you mentioned, a domino effect, a chain reaction, a point effect, what have you. So we take a look at the replay. Hine slides up, goes into Neal. Neal goes into Shepard, and Shepard just goes right into the tires. But Neal also goes into the outside wall, leaving J.R. Shepard, unfortunately, stranded on the inside.
So we'll take a look here inside the cockpit. I always tell my friends about racing, I'm going to show you this accident. If you tell me how you can avoid this, I'll put you in a car. Avoid that. Nothing that you can do. The car inside of you comes up, and I mean, that was as close as it gets. Just the quarter panels touching on both cars, and that's enough to just completely divert the course of that car. And that was actually what I was talking about earlier, where the wall comes out. Came out just a little bit quicker for J.R. Shepard there than usual.
Yeah, bad luck for J.R. Shepard early on. He does, again, of course, have the consolation event. Everyone is guaranteed to enter, but this is pretty much to sort the field out and see where exactly everyone will be starting. So lights on the pace truck will shut off this time by, and then we'll be going back green with 4 laps to go, so half the distance of this heat race. Going to be Jared Melton bringing the field into the lead, with John Hine starting up on the outside. Derek Neal, Kenny Kibbe, as well as Brendan Myers running out the rest of your field.
So only 5 cars left. Brendan Myers still finds himself in the back row, but watch out, because John Hine now outside of row number 1. We'll see how quickly he might be able to get down to the inside. And unfortunately for Derek Neal, already back to 3rd.
Derek Neal trying to just chomp at the bit without even going just yet. He'll have to keep an eye on Kenny Kibbe. Use any possible line to get by, as it's going to be a little bit of a stack up for everybody on the main start. So lane John Hine gets going much quicker than Jared Melton. So we'll see if that will be changed or not. But in the meantime, Derek Neal's going to get tagged and sent into an upside down, the same accident with J.R. Shepard. No caution, though, because it's so far back, and Neal will immediately take a tow, I believe.
That's extremely unfortunate. Essentially the exact same circumstances as the last crash, and part of the reason why no caution there is if a caution is thrown, then it immediately just pauses the field as it is. Now only 4 cars in contention here, but they have checked out. But John Hine right now gained a lot of orange in his rear view mirror from Kenny Kibbe all over that back bumper. Almost touches, does give a bump, and it's going to have a lot of momentum here coming off of 2, Gary.
Coming down to 1.5 laps to go. Kenny Kibbe challenging for the lead as he slides down to the inside, trying to get any open inside position possible, with Jared Melton lurking behind in case anything happens. White flag on the start-finish line this time by, which is going to be more towards turn 4. Keep in mind for that. Kibbe looks to the inside, continues to practically push John Hine throughout this entire course. Kibbe slides up behind, moves down to the inside. It's going to be a drag race just off turn number 4, and it's John Hine by about half a car length, getting the heat race number 2 win. Kenny Kibbe second. 3rd place going to Jared Melton. They all advance. Myers, Shepard, and Neal will all go to the consolation event to sort that out between themselves. But first up is heat race number 3. Looks like we're going into the night.
Man, fantastic racing for both wins so far in this heat race. Another great group of drivers here. And as you mentioned, the sun continues to move on down. And I find that before the lights go on, it is a little bit harder to find where the rubber is. I still think that the inside lane, though, is where you want to be. Everyone is running that because of the amount of moisture down there. Now, the higher up you go, it becomes a little bit more problemsome because there's a lot of dirt, a lot of loose dirt up there, I should say.
Well, heat race number 3. We'll see if anyone does choose to use any of that loose dirt up on the top side come either this third heat race, the consolation event, or even the feature, which of course is most likely a given. But Todd Liston, Austin Belke, Justin Morton, Steven Spies, and Ron Snyder, your 5-car field here for this final heat of the night here at Volusia.
So 3 cars move on, 2 cars go to the consolation, and remember what that means. If you finish in the top 3, it's a guaranteed top 9 starting position in the 40-lap A main. But if you get collected in a lap 1 incident and you did not finish in the top 3, and then in the consolation you get into another first lap incident, instead of starting, say, 10th, you're going to be starting 17th in the back of the pack. Important to still be in the top 3 here, even though everyone will make the main.
And positions do matter on, at least for these heats and by the end of these heats. Todd Liston will bring the field to the green once the pace truck pulls off. Of course, everyone has to go on the green. Once that waves, Star waves the green. That's green flag once again here at Volusia. Todd Liston, Austin Belke. Belke actually is going to get a great run as Justin Morton got into the back of Todd Liston entering turn 1.
Justin Morton gave Todd Liston a huge push here. Still 2x2, 2 rows deep. They're just about 4 wide here in heat race number 3. Todd Liston, though, holds off the pack in the gray and blue 87 to lead lap number 1.
24 getting the outside preferred lane for now, and he'll try and get whatever momentum possible. Use that more pressure surface. Get that right rear tire as well as Steven Spies continues to look to the middle where that opening is. Right on board here. Right on board, Ron Snyder as Morton tries to continue to look to the inside, although not too far. Spies is going to get to the inside. It's 3 wide for second place off turn number 2 as Todd Liston breaks out in front. Spies may actually challenge for the lead here as they go through 3 and 4.
Liston gave up the bottom. That might just make it 3 wide for the lead. No, it will not. Steven Spies gets a great run off of turn number 4. He is your new leader. Now Justin Morton looks to take away second from Todd Liston.
Coming off of turn number 2, Justin Morton challenging for that second place position. At the moment, he'll try and get by, but Liston's car and Liston himself not giving up that outside lane for now as they stay up top, and Morton continues to run a little bit more and more inside every lap, it seems, but Liston going to be falling back up top.
Right now, Austin Belke is just trying to find a way. It's so difficult when potentially all 3 lines are already being used. Liston slides way too far up the track, though, now fighting for 4th place with Austin Belke, although Steven Spies, he is checking out from the rest of the field. But watch out, Ron Snyder still on the rear end of Justin Morton.
Ron Snyder wanting to get a couple extra positions as much as he can, at least, with 2 laps to go this time by the start-finish line. Steven Spies starting to create a little bit of a gap between himself, Morton, and Snyder. That's the same for the 9 and the 29. They both create a gap within themselves. I think Justin Morton's going to try a last lap challenge here as quickly as he can.
Coming down to the white flag. Remember, guys, since there's 3 heat races, every car you pass is essentially 3 starting positions in the A main. Top 3 strung out right now. Spies, Morton, and Snyder, your top 3.
Off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway, everyone remains single file as we ride on board Steven Spies, looking at that gap between himself and Justin Morton. Off turn 4, it's going to be Steven Spies winning heat race number 3 with Morton coming in 2nd, Ron Snyder in 3rd place. Now leave Austin Belke and Todd Liston to fight it out amongst themselves and others in this last chance qualifier. 12 laps, all will advance to the feature.
Now, we have unfortunately had a little bit lower car count these past 2 weeks, but when you have, say, 20, 21 cars in 4 heat races, that puts a lot more laps on this track. So, since there's not quite as many laps being put on this track, the inside still looks really nice and fresh. It's licking off a little bit, but if you can hit that inside correctly, like Steven Spies looked really sharp in that heat race, there's still a way to use the inside and run away from anyone else who can't handle being that slow on the inside.
Starting grid for this final consolation event will be Spencer Gray starting off in first. Brendan Myers, pending he does get back in as soon as he can. He'll be starting off in second for the moment. should advance regardless as far as we know, but Austin Belke will start in third in that number 24, and John Wilson will round out your top 4.
Yeah, Brennan Myers has had a number of, it looks like, internet connection issues as his receive throughput fell to an unacceptable level again. Or in other words, he got booted from the server due to internet connection. So, although, yeah, he will be in the feature if he can get his internet issues sorted out. Unfortunately for him, though, he had a chance to be first in this race and start 10th. Instead, it's a guaranteed 17th place start here for Brennan Myers after a great qualifying run.
Hopefully Myers can get back in with Neal, Liston, Segala, and Shepard rounding out your final half of the field. Brennan Myers attempting to get back as soon as possible, trying to get out on track, at least watch and see what he's going to be up against in this consolation event. We'll see. He does have not only this consolation event, but also the 5 minutes of warm-up, and just in case he does need it. So unfortunately for Myers, like you mentioned, Devin, a guaranteed 17th place start for that feature event.
But now it's all about trying to pass whoever you can. Spencer Gray in that red, white, and blue with the stars on the front. Number 93 will lead this pack. John Wilson inherits second place here. That's your front row. Every position is one position on the starting grid for the A main.
Base truck getting ready to pull off the racetrack into pit road once again. Starter waves the green flag as Spencer Gray brings the field to the green. The outside lane seems to be getting a much better start here at Volusia, as getting that advantage right off the bat into turns 1 and 2 will be John Wilson as they make their way down the back straightaway, but Spencer Gray fights back on the inside lane.
Great run right now for John Wilson. Slid up just too high, though, and he's going to lose first and second as Belke in that turquoise 24 makes the move around. Now watch out behind them. The number 98 of J.R. Shepard now coming through the field. Gets stuck behind, though, right now, man. John Wilson's running a little bit too high up on the track. Throws a little bit too much gas in it. It's just a little bit too high. Now here comes Shepard to the inside, fighting for third.
Side by side they go as Shepard takes to the inside lane. 52 of Wilson trying to stay up top and gain whatever momentum possible, but that will not be the case. Trying to use the fresher portion of the racetrack, and he's just trying to fight back. He doesn't have a lot of it, though, as Shepard will now make his way into that third place position. Brennan Myers able to get back out on track as well in time for this consolation event in case anything does happen, so he does have at least a shot for now. In the meantime, everyone's relatively single-filed themselves out at the moment, but Jared Shepard is going to be chomping at the bit for that second place spot of Austin Belke.
Belke and everyone else moving up a little bit above all that slick light brown dirt that you see there. It almost looks like the sand track that used to be here before Volusia was founded. On the inside, the number 52 of John Wilson trying to have Todd Wilson follow him. But already J.R. Shepard looking to the inside of Austin Belke, closing the gap, trying to find second place here. 7 laps to go.
And on board Todd Liston at the moment as well. Using the outer lanes are both Spencer Gray and Austin Belke. J.R. Shepard really the one of the few drivers now starting to run the inside, and it is proving a little bit useful, but then that outside line looks to be coming in here at the halfway point.
Starting to come in as the inside starts to slick off in turns number 1 and throughout 3 and 4. Starting to scatter a little bit, so everyone moving up to the outside, trying to move that cushion up on the track. There is still moisture on the bottom, but you have to go so slow, it's not worth it anymore. But Spencer Gray leading the pace and showing the field how it is done. Almost a second lead now on J.R. Shepard.
J.R. Shepard getting by Austin Belke for the second place position, and that will shuffle Belke back to third place, but not by much because Belke was practically on top of that back bumper of J.R. Shepard throughout 3 and 4. And J.R. Shepard has actually opted to just move his lane, maybe about half a lane higher up once he got by Austin Belke. And John Wilson lurking in the top 3, or lurking just behind the top 3 in case anything does happen.
Shepard is a big asphalt guy, and most of the time when you're asphalt racing, if you're loose, that means that you're fast. Well, he keeps going down into that slick stuff where it is very loose and doesn't have a lot of grip. He seems to like that. He won last week at Kokomo, and now he likes that slick stuff here. The only guy running it and making progress, trying to run down Spencer Gray, coming down to 2 to go.
Laps winding down, anticipation ramping up. Everyone going to be trying a different line as well. Speaking of which, J.R. Shepard goes to the very inside lane, almost right up against the inside wall in turns 1 and 2 that last time by. He'll diamond the corner, and he's getting a lot of speed compared to Spencer Gray as we come to the white flag this time by. J.R. Shepard slings the car in, moves it down the racetrack, catching up to Spencer Gray as Gray not looking to make any defensive maneuvers just yet. I think he's very comfortable as J.R. Shepard tries one last-ditch attempt dive to the inside lane, but it will not be enough. Spencer Gray wins the consolation event with J.R. Shepard second, Austin Belke third, John Wilson fourth, Todd Liston fifth, Joe Segala, Derek Neal, and Brendan Myers sixth, seventh, and eighth.
Boys, pull out your pad, pull out your pencil, write down some notes. Spencer Gray and J.R. Shepard showing you a couple of really nice lines right there, especially J.R. Shepard. If you're able to cut through the slick stuff like that, a very creative line and could be very useful coming to A main. And we'll see if anyone tries to practice it here as we have our practice warm-up session for everyone.
This warm-up session going to be, of course, incredibly useful as always by everybody here who takes advantage to it. John Hine going to be the first of both himself and Tyler Jackson to get out onto the racetrack. This is going to be something to really look out for here once they get their times in at the completion of the warm-up session. I'm wondering who's going to place where. Will John Hine provide enough of a challenge to Tyler Jackson here?
And this is a much more worn-down track than we even saw in that consolation race. The track state has actually moved up considerably, so this isn't even the same track that you saw in the consolation race. This, you can see how shiny and how black that lower part of the track is. There is not a lot of grip down there on the bottom, so this might be a very good preview for these drivers as we move into this feature event. And Brendan Myers is still running fast laps.
Not only that, Steven Spieth, Justin Morton all in front of Tyler Jackson. John Hine been shuffled now to 7th. As well, it continues to shuffle around. Robbie Robinson placing himself in the 5th place position of the timing charts. Everyone shuffling around. Bobby Rafferty, Derek Neal, Kenny Kibbe, Spencer Gray, Austin Belke have yet to set a warm-up time. And of course, they're taking as much of a break as they can come the feature event.
And this track in real life actually has street stocks almost every single weekend. Another one of those tracks who has their local racing with these street stocks. And then here on iRacing, we're able to take street stocks and run them ourselves as well. But back when this track was paved over and used for NASCAR, when it had asphalt on it, the owner said, but we still like dirt racing. So they actually built, adjacent to the back straightaway, a 3/8 mile dirt track. And now, since they put dirt back over it, and that is the course that you have here on iRacing, they actually converted it a little bit less spanking so that it could be a go-kart track. You see there on the left of your screen, it's a little beat up. I'll give it that. But a little bit less spanking, and so a go-kart track right adjacent to Volusia. And in fact, I think iRacing a little bit smaller. If you look at Google Maps, it actually looks a lot larger than that, although it is just under half a mile. It's still pretty large. So yeah, and this is something that you don't really get to see. We've seen tracks like Las Vegas who own their property and have multiple tracks like a drag strip and a dirt track and a NASCAR track. But how about 2 dirt tracks owned by the same group side by side? You don't get that very many places. That's why I love Volusia here in Florida.
Not only that, but you also have Vegas with their bull ring essentially just right across the way off of turn 2, I believe, from the main Vegas track. And then Charlotte Motor Speedway has the dirt track at Charlotte just right next door. So really just incredible to see different tracks within pretty much within the mile of each other. So playing on different types of racing, 2 completely different types of racing. But for Volusia, well, they're saying, well, we could have 2 different types of racing, or we can have the same type, just one with a smaller track, and have that be a little bit more exciting as well in some cases. But That's not saying that Volusia never puts on exciting races to the main track, because it always does. And, well, especially under the lights, as they appear to have just turned on here around the racetrack.
Well, we had a chance there looking at Bobby Rafferty. It looks like a new spec map on that car, and it looks slick. Also listed spec map on here with that shiny blue. Man, some of these guys are up in their paint game.
I think they're starting to think again, just more with the, well, if I update my paint, I should be able to get a win. So let's see how that goes.
There you go.
That happened
We've seen
from
it.
Bobby Rafferty.
We have seen it, but I think Tyler Jackson will stick to that baby blue and the shark teeth as long as he can, because he's had some pretty good success in that car.
And he always has, aside from, unfortunately, his warm-up session where he's been shoved down to 8th place in the timing standings, but that doesn't really mean much considering that it is only the warm-up session, and it's just more something for these drivers to get used to. So we'll see as Joe Peak subtly tells us about Baby Shark, and I have no words for that.
So I feel like this would be an actual insult to the car, where producer Joe Peak did mention it's baby blue and shark teeth, if that is Baby Shark. I mean, yeah, it's not wrong, but I'm not going to go out and disrespect the guy who's won 5 races and call his hot rod Baby Shark. So I'll just keep calling him the bottom feeder from now on, which, come to think of it, might not be, you know, as appropriate, but nonetheless, we're ready to get racing here at Volusia. He's going to be a little bit further back in the pack than I think he likes, though, Gary.
Yeah, Tyler Jackson going to be starting off in 4th, but your entire starting grid will be as follows, with your first place position, or first row, I should say, being rounded up by Bobby Rafferty and John Hine, 1st and 2nd respectively. Steven Spees will be starting in the 3rd place position, and Tyler Jackson starts off to his outside in 4th. Kenny Kibbe will round out the top 5, with Justin Morton in 6th. 7th place going to Robbie Robinson. 8th place is going to be Jared Melton. Ron Snyder 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Spencer Gray.
In row number 6, your blue and gray number 98 of J.R. Shepard. Beside him in 12 will be that bright blue 24 of Austin Belkey. Starting 13th, that gray and yellow car of John Wilson, the 52. Todd Liston lines up next to him. In 15th is Joe Segala in the black and green. Derek Neal has that City Chevrolet beautiful paint scheme in the number 15, starting 16th. And Brennan Lightning McMyers rounds out the field. Hopefully those internet connection issues solved, because boy, he has been fast in his warm-ups and qualifying tonight.
Pace truck pulls off as we see the lights activated and the sun setting in the background here at Volusia. Tyler Jackson immediately, as per usual, running in the top line as much as possible before we even get going.
Yeah, a lot of loose dirt there. I don't know if that's where you want to be when this thing starts because of all that loose mud, but hey, I've seen it work before.
That's probably why he runs in the top side early on as well, but we'll see if that plays out to his advantage here come this main start in just about 3/4 of elapsed time. As we continue to await the pace truck pulling off, and the anticipation continues to rise.
And the bottom is really slicked off right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we have a battle for real estate on the cushion, something that we haven't seen all night long in the heat races in Constellation. We might see guys trying to push each other up the track to find that little bit of grip.
Pace truck pulls off. John Hine brings the field to the green flag here for the second to last race of the season here at Volusia. The Bootleg Racing League has already a great start on the outside by Bobby Rafferty once they get settled out. It's going to be a side-by-side battle between themselves for the lead. Tyler Jackson tries to look for an opening in the middle.
Steven Spees in the 55 running fourth is doing all that he can to make that inside line work. There's nothing that he can do. Justin Moore is on his outside. He moves up that time, but in turns 1 and 2, he actually had a really good line going on the bottom. But man, I don't even think he can run the bottom right now in 3 and 4. There's just not enough moisture to even put just one tire in, and everyone is sliding up high right now, all trying to catch Bobby Rafferty.
Jackson going to be right on the back bumper as much as he can, of course. John Hines stuck on the inside lane. He'll try and slide up in front of Steven Spees. He does, shuts the door. Spees with a crossover down into the inside lane. He'll try a slide job on John Hine, and it will prove successful. And John Hine is immediately shuffled back to fourth, and Steven Spees, well, he doesn't lose that third place position, and he'll try and challenge Tyler Jackson for second place as they go down the back straightaway.
So one guy threw a slider and it worked. That means, boys, it is haymaker time. We're going to start seeing slide jobs galore. Someone saw it work once, well, then it can work for me. Watch out, Tyler Jackson on the inside of Bobby Rafferty. Not going to have enough momentum there for a slide job, but pulls up right to that left rear quarter panel. And they are almost stacked up here for the top three, but running away from John Hines the rest of the field.
Now Jackson trying to use the more inside lane as they make contact. Rafferty way up the racetrack, and that's going to be the first caution of the day, unfortunately. Rafferty with a hard shot into the outside wall, and just like that from second, or first I should say, all the way 17th.
Overcorrection here, I think what the issue was. They were side by side, great racing. These guys love being and banging off each other. I think Bobby just had a little bit too much overcorrection there. They probably would have been fine and tried to bring that wheel back to the right. When you're in slick stuff and you get bumped, sometimes it kind of messes with your brain what you should do. And so he probably felt like the rear end was starting to come out on him a little bit after they get this bump here. And I think, yeah, so the rear end pops out, so he aligns that wheel back to the right, and it was too much because then the front of Jackson's car realigned the 77, but the wheel was already turned to the right.
Unfortunately, too little, too late. Tyler Jackson, of course, immediately apologizing as quickly as he could after everyone got settled out. So Rafferty is unfortunately in the back of the field now, more than likely going to make his way back up. But we'll see how everything plays out. Regardless, Steven Spees will be restarting in the second place position. It looks like Tyler Jackson may be going into the top side for this restart.
The bottom feeder going to the outside, but that is where everyone is running right now. And it's going to be a fight to see who will move up more. Now, I think that Bobby Rafferty and Tyler Jackson could have continued to run side by side there in that little bit of what is not the cushion, but is moisture. So we'll see if maybe some guys on the inside run out of patience, try to push the guys on the outside out a little bit more so that they are not so slick on the bottom. But hey, J.R. Shepard is on the bottom. He seems to like the slick stuff. He's inside the top 10 now.
Being inside the top 10 will create a little bit of a sense of accomplishment, of course, but of course Shepard wants more positions by the end of tonight. Green flag flies once again as we're just before 30 laps to go. Steven Spees giving a great challenge on the inside lane, but Tyler Jackson does with that less used top side, as well as Justin Morton. They will both get the advantage off turn number 2. Morton gets around Hine, and Jackson gets around Spees.
Spees still has a wheel though on Tyler Jackson just off that quarter panel. Almost made contact into one. Justin Morton trying to make some room on the outside. Can't find any though. Spees is staying right on that rear bumper of Tyler Jackson, trying to run a different line. What do I always say, guys? You can't pass someone if you run the same line as them. And look at Kenny Kibbe on the inside trying to make up some room.
Kibbe trying to take the inside advantage. Unfortunately, will not work that time, but as he will slot in behind that outer lane that everyone is trying to adapt to as the caution comes out. Once again, it's between Wilson and Segala, both caught up, unfortunately, by the looks of it for a quick moment. I'll take a look and see what happened.
A little bit further back in the pack, where, of course, the Hornet's Nest always lurks. Tough spot to be at. Wilson running the back here, and Segala, yeah. Segala gets turned in the middle of the corner. It looked like they might have been 3 wide, or heck, even more so, and just has a lot of contact there in the left rear quarter panel. Ooh, Doran going door to door with Belkey here. Slides into one, slides a lot into one, and yeah, that's just racing deal right there. Segala slides up a little bit, and it just, I mean, if Belkey is like 3 inches further back, no contact is made, we keep racing there. It's just that little bit of contact, maybe even a little bit of net code there, and one driver goes around.
Yeah, it could have been that tire-to-tire contact as well, because the right rears do poke out. a lot compared to the, well, actually the tires in general, I should say, do poke out these cars a lot. So I wouldn't rule out the fact that, of course, it could have been the tire-to-tire contact. But now that we are under caution again, take a look and we can take a moment to breathe and realize that your top 3 in the championship are now your top 3 on the racetrack, although not in the same order, being Steven Spees and, well, not Justin Morton, who's actually apparently 4th place by the looks of it. Actually, no, restarting in 3rd place, I should say, actually. So Tyler Jackson leading the points, leading the field as the lights go out. Steven Spees, 3rd place in the points. He's going to restart 2nd. Justin Morton, 2nd place in points. He'll restart 3rd.
I'm thinking someone might try to do something crazy here on this initial start. Morton up from 6th to 3rd. I wouldn't be surprised if someone here tries a dive bomb. The slide jobs have worked so far, but there's got to be a lot of give and not as much take right now. I'm interested to see if someone tries to go for a slide job here early on.
Well, it worked for one, and we'll see if it works again. Steven Spees, the only one to really pull that off successfully against John Hine. As the pace truck is off, waiting for the green to come out, and it does. A very even start between Steven Spees and Tyler Jackson as they both drag race their way down into turn 1. Justin Morton peaking just that little bit lower to the inside. It's not going to work just yet off turn number 2.
Turns 1 and 2, you can still use the inside a little bit. Shepard also used that and gained a little bit of ground, but everywhere else, it's on the outside. Has still Kenny Kibbe looks to use that inside regardless. In 3 and 4, there's just not quite enough moisture there. You can utilize some here in 1 and 2. And look out, John Hine is right on the rear bumper of Steven Spees. Gets a good run off of 2. Now on the inside of Tyler Jackson, battling for the lead.
Steven Spees not giving up the inside lane just yet. As slick as it is, he knows he can make it work. He's done it once. He knows he can do it again. But Spees just not giving it up. He's going to have to adapt to the top side at some point. He does have room. He does now. Off of turn number 2, he'll fall behind Tyler Jackson. He'll try and run in the top side this time, but he'll slide a little bit farther up the track. That's going to leave John Hine looking to the inside for that 2nd place position.
Hine has some room. They might have made a little bit of contact as Spees got set up for the corner, but still John Hine right on the rear bumper of Steven Spees. Boy, look at that gorgeous number 71 with the Cruise Shop logo all over it. Good looking car for the Cruise Shop here tonight.
Great placement as well, top 3, as the halfway point continues to be closed in on this. Halfway point, just a couple of laps. We can see here between the 56 and the 14, and basically anybody from 5th place on back is side by side battling it out. If it's the last chance, if it's pretty much the last chance, and everything is for points, and of course it is. J.R. Shepard coming almost into direct contact. Someone there, unfortunately, but luckily everyone manages to make it out scot-free for now.
Yeah, we're looking at the very start of the Hornet's Nest, and you can see someone's using the bottom. J.R. Shepard, the asphalt guy, using what is left of that moisture down on the inside of 1 and 2. Can't quite find it in 3 and 4. You can see like right next to the wall where it's not black yet, that has moisture in it. You can use that for grip. It's just so difficult to find sometimes. But like I said, you can't pass someone if you're running the exact same line as them. It is just too tough right now to drive in that slick stuff. Yellow flag now on the track. Another issue here, Gary, as we just come past halfway.
Bobby Rafferty in the 77 around, not having a lot of luck this race, unfortunately. It was just behind who we were riding on board with as well. It's just a racing incident once again. 25 of Meyer just slides down, and unfortunately Rafferty has been hit and hit to the inside wall. That brings out this caution.
Yeah, it looks like Myers just got a little bit loose, tried to correct it, but the 77 car just so happened to be down there when he tried to correct it. Look at his front wheels here trying to turn to the right. And eventually that car almost comes around. If it wasn't for Bobby Rafferty, he might have just plowed himself straight into that inside wall. And unfortunately, just happened to be a car down there.
Trying to catch it, as well as possibly trying to follow J.R. Shepard's line in the process. And unfortunately, well, like you mentioned, 77 was there on the inside. So Bobby Rafferty with a lot of bad luck this race, as we possibly on the 2 lap to go signal this time by the start-finish line. And well, Rafferty coming into this race with 10th place in the point standings, so unfortunately maybe falling out of that by the end, but we'll have to wait and see in the meantime. as Justin Morton had gotten shuffled back now to 4th place, but still in the top 5. Still has a chance to get a few more points by the end of tonight.
Absolutely. We are just over halfway. We're going to go green with around 15 to go, which is still plenty of time for these cars. And of course, every time we start 2x2, you can move up further and further. Look at Kenny Kibbe into the top 5. J.R. Shepard has Brennan Myers following him, who started dead last. He's in the top 10 now. So there's still plenty of time in this race to continue making moves and find your way towards the front. But right now, Gary, this top 3 has just been the class of the field.
I think more of the top 4 in some cases. Rob Robinson as well in the top 5, kind of being in there. But regardless, we'll see as the green flag flies once again here. John Hine immediately looks to the inside, decides against it. And Steven Spees, as per usual, not giving up the inside lane right off the bat. But John Hine will make him stay on the inside, actually, almost, as he looked to the inside of turn number 2. Just more comfortable up there on top.
Bees has just done a great job every restart, putting on a great fight on the inside. There's just not enough grip to maintain that on both corners for multiple laps. Falls behind Tyler Jackson. Kenny Kibbe gets a little loose, and steering out of the way is Robbie Robinson, trying to get his 2nd straight top 5 back-to-back weeks.
And see how fanned out everyone is. Your top 5 relatively single file, save for Robbie Robinson, who's defending from Kenny Kibbe for that 5th place position. John Hine lurking in behind the 55, and at least in one sense or another. Spin, huge crash in the back. 56 of Robinson.
Unfortunate. Robinson got loose. It looked exactly like what happened to Brennan Myers, where he gets loose, and instead of there being a 77 car below him, which with his luck there very well could have been, but just riding that slick stuff, it gets 2 sideways, goes straight into the wall, comes back up. How did Bobby Rafferty still get in this crash?
Oh, man.
Goodness gracious.
If that isn't commentator's curse, I don't know what is.
But it happened after the original thing happened. I made a joke that the 77 car could hit him. He wasn't even there. The car spins out, and somehow Bobby Rafferty is still in this crash.
Oh, just out of nowhere.
Nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go. He won the race earlier today in the Legend Series at Las Vegas, and he cannot find a break tonight, though, in the Dirt Street Stock Series.
Unfortunately for Bobby Rafferty, it just continues to go downhill from here, and hopefully he'll be able to have that stop. But well, with his luck so far tonight, I'm not sure. But poor Bobby Rafferty, poor Robbie Robinson as well, who you just mentioned. It was in the top 5, and then not even 5 seconds later, he spins out and is now in 15th. So that's commentator's curse if I've ever seen one.
Someone needs to give Bobby a pizza. That's all I'm saying. It won't be me because I'm broke, but someone needs to get Bobby a pizza. Well, I guess he won earlier today, so I'm sure some people aren't too sorry for him. But still, man, this is a tough night. Looking like a real-life street stock. Those things are always beat up. By the way, 10 to go, Gary. We're coming down to the wire.
Oh, yeah, it's coming down to the wire, of course, and Justin Morton going to be starting directly behind Tyler Jackson. Steven Spees starting on the inside of Tyler Jackson. John Hine trying to pull off an upset as much as possible, but the top 3 in points are saying, yeah, no, we'd rather not. And, well, at this point, we are presented with this fun situation here that we are dealing with. 10-lap shootout here when we get the green. Tyler Jackson starting on the outside, as always now. As the green flag is being waved, we're back underway. Steven Spees may have gotten a better start than Tyler Jackson. No challenge on the inside lane as they go through turns 1 and 2. That's not going to be the case. Spees may be falling back just ever so slightly. No, he actually stays alongside.
Probably the best start for the 55 in this race. Let's see if he can take advantage of it. I just don't know if a slide job will be enough for him. Great corner exit, but still Tyler Jackson has too much momentum on that outside. Looking back a little further, though, watch out. That 98 car has moved from 11th into 5th. J.R. Shepard is going places, and he still has plenty of laps to make something happen.
It's going to be a wild final laps here as we come now to 8 laps to go at the start-finish line. Again, keeping in mind it's more towards turn 4 as the middle of the front straightaway, or turn 1, as Hine and Spees get really close off turn number 2, but luckily they don't make any major contact, be it a couple paint scratches, and I'm pretty sure Spees right now wants to get up to the top side but John Hine not letting that happen.
Hey, Speeds better know you do not scratch the Cruise Shop logo on that 71. That thing stays right there. John Hine on the outside, pushing the cushion, has plenty of momentum, finding his way around Steven Speeds. Now has to track down Tyler Jackson, coming to 6 to go. Does he have enough time? Because Tyler Jackson almost a half-second lead as he continues to move away from the rest of the field. Everyone's running the slick stuff right now, though.
Everyone has adapted and changed their lines. Kenny Kibbe coming into this battle from 4th place, a little bit ways back, but closing the gap as much as he can, along with J.R. Shepard. This time by it will be 5 laps to go in the second to last race of the season. John Hine going to be following directly in suit of the tire tracks. Tyler Jackson through that corner entry.
Might just be too little too late as Tyler Jackson continues to put a gap on John Hine. Last time John raced here in the Dirt Street Stock Series, he won the race at Charlotte. He wants to beat Tyler Jackson to try to get it this time too, but 4 to go. I think that he would need a caution, and even starting on the inside, it would be a lot to overcome.
And even then, if we do get a caution, it will pretty much be the race over as we come down to 3 laps to go. Any chance that is pretty much over. So now this is going to be something for Steven Speeds to keep in mind. He needs to get up into 2nd place as soon as possible, or else Tyler Jackson will continue to run away with this points lead that he still has. 28 points in total difference between Tyler Jackson, Steven Speeds, and Justin Morton coming into this race. Justin Morton, unfortunately, has fallen all the way back to 12th place. And with 2 laps to go, that might be it.
Running out of time, too little, too late. John Hine won the sprint car race last week in the Bootleg Racing League. But tonight, in his return to the Dirt Street Stock Series, looks like will not have quite enough to catch up to Tyler Jackson, looking for win number 6 on the year.
Final lap this time by as Tyler Jackson rounds turns 1 and 2. John Hine following in pursuit in the same tire tracks, trying to do whatever he can, but it will not be enough. Using the very inside lane as the number 8, Tyler Jackson will come off turn 4 and grab win number 6 of the Dirt Street Stock Series Bootleg Racing League season. A second to last race, he'll extend his points lead. This is going to be something to keep in mind heading into next week at the dirt track at Charlotte.
Looking to claim a championship next Friday night. He has done a great job all year long maintaining the points gap. Was suspended last week at Kokomo for jumping multiple starts at Williams Grove. He still had the points lead, and now he comes here at Volusia, wins the race, and he has a mighty fine lead going into Charlotte to claim a championship potentially.
As Tyler Jackson burns it down here on the front straightaway, we'll bring you your post-race interviews, your race results, and as well as an updated championship points standings going into next week at the dirt track at Charlotte. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here at Volusia on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome back to Volusia Speedway Park here, as we are going to take a look at your finishing results. After 40 laps and just a couple of cautions, it is Tyler Jackson bringing the field to the win, grabbing his 6th win of the season. With John Hine, his first race of the season, he will come home with a 2nd place finish. Steven Spees will be rounding out your 3rd place position. We'll be talking to them momentarily, just after we finish up your results, with Kenny Kibbe, J.R. Shepard rounding out 4th and 5th. Jared Melton rounds out 6th. 7th place going to be Brennan Myers. 8th place Austin Belke, Joe Segala, and Ron Snyder round out 9th and 10th.
Justin Morton had issues at the end there, ends up in 11th. Spencer Gray finishes in 12th. John Wilson 13th. Robbie Robinson trying to get a better result. Last week got 3rd. This week has to sell for 14th. Derek Neal finishes in 15th. Bobby Rafferty, 16th. Man, a tough race. Todd Liston rounds out your field for the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stocks at Volusia.
And after our results, we're now going to take, we're going to now go to your race winner of Tyler Jackson. Tyler, this is, I think, the 6th time, quite literally, that we've talked to you for this season. And, well, as per usual, you get it done and put it back in victory lane here at Volusia.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly the way I wanted to win there. I got into Bobby a little bit. I was just watching replay, and it looks like that we didn't make that much contact, and he said the steering wheel just ripped out of his hand and he went dead right. So I don't know if that was a net code issue or not, but I apologize to him. It ended up looking like a slam job from his in-car, but it really wasn't that much contact from where I was sitting.
Luckily, no harm, no foul afterwards. And with this track, you opted for the outside lane and then migrated back to the inside at some points of the race. And, well, with you being usually the one to run the inside lane, I'm pretty sure it was not exactly foreign ground for you to run the top side, but I'm pretty sure you definitely thought, well, actually, what did you think with the line throughout the race, going from the top side back to the middle?
Yeah, so qualifying heats, it was right around the bottom. It was wet, and then they set it up for 20% usage before the features. So it actually kind of threw me a curveball because it was worn in exactly where we run. So I was kind of running a sweeping line in 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 I was just kind of running the middle, trying to keep my right rear right outside the black. It rolled through the middle pretty good.
Well, heading into next week with 106 points between, well, in total, I should say, between you and 3rd place. Heading into next week with the dirt track at Charlotte, what are your thoughts?
That's good. That's a good track for me. Usually as the night progresses and we have to run right up against the wall in 1 and 2, I really like running that cushion there. I seem like I make up a lot of time on some guys. So 3 and 4, I always try to run the bottom and middle. We'll just have to see how many cars show up and how much rubber the track takes.
Well, before we go ahead and let you go, who would you like to give a shout out to for your race win here tonight?
A shout out to the girlfriend as always. Jack's EDM on the hood. We got NC Resources on the quarter panel. Milner Media Design for giving me this cool looking shark wrap. Jose Gill turning the wrenches. My buddy John from work's been helping out. That's about it. Apologize to Bobby again. He knows I don't race that way, so I feel bad for him.
Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations on your race win, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
Now we're going to send it over to Devin Henry, who has managed to catch up with the 71 of John Hine.
So this is the 2nd week in a row we talked with John Hine, although last week it was as race director up in the booth. And then all of a sudden, we got a Cruise Shop logo plastered on the 71 here. When did the decision come for you to come and race here tonight instead? And ends up, boom, 2nd place tonight, John.
The decision was made probably about 4:30 this afternoon. I decided to do it, but I actually played double duty. I was still up in the race control. I had to trust the guys. There's a great group of guys in this field from front to back, so I know that I can do that. And when you're telling them when to pack up and all that stuff, they're good about doing it. So it all worked out tonight.
Well, I don't want to hold you up too bad because you are coming off a win last week in the Sprint Car Series, and you guys are ready to go at it again here at Volusia. But what did you learn here tonight running 2nd with this group that you haven't raced with since Charlotte last season. What did you learn that you can take into your sprint car race here later tonight?
Absolutely nothing. These cars are completely different from those sprint cars. You know, the thing is it's just fun to go in there and race with the guys. And then there's a few guys that don't run the sprints that I run in there. And so I got to race with them a little bit. And this field in here is much more even from front to back than what the sprint cars are, I think. And, you know, Tyler just, you know, the guy's tough. You know, I think if we had about 10 more laps, I could have got to him. I don't know if I could have gotten around him, but I sure could have filled his mirrors up pretty good, though.
Well, like I said, he got the crew shop on there, but who else you got to thank tonight for the second place performance? I
got to thank the boss, Lowell, for letting me do it. I kind of begged him about an hour before the race. Can I do this? And he was like, yeah. Want to thank my wife for, you know, letting me do iRacing as much as what I do. Without her, I'd be in the doghouse quite a bit, or probably single at this point, at the very least, without her patience anyway. And thank you guys for broadcasting it. And I hope everybody that's watching, I thank them for tuning in. And I hope we put a good enough show on for them to come back next week.
Hey, well, it was a great show. Next week is the championship at Charlotte on Friday night. John Hine comes out, picks up second place in his first race back since last season. Best of luck tonight, and thanks for joining us, and congrats.
Thanks, bud. Y'all have a good week.
Hey, you as well. Now we'll send on over. Gary Weaver is caught up with Steven Spees, pulling out a third-place finish tonight.
Yeah, here with Steven Spees, driver of the number 55. And, well, Steven Spees did a great job. You remained second in the point standings, and it all comes down to next week. But you were giving John Hine, and John Hine was giving you one heck of a battle throughout this night.
Yeah, that was real fun racing. Made a couple of mistakes here and there, and there towards the end, I was, you know, thinking I might have a little bit different line than Tyler. I might have something for him, but in doing that, let John kind of get up above me and got a nose in there, and that was kind of all it wrote, and there he went.
Well, throughout tonight, with you using the primarily inside lane, it seems you were stuck on the inside lane as well when you wanted to get up top, but at the same time, you did hold your own pretty well on the lower line. So was it the setup of the car that just had you say, well, you know what, I might as well stay here on the inside lane a little bit more, or just was it the fact that you felt more comfortable down there versus the middle?
Yeah, it was really just that on the restarts, you know, Tyler was the leader. He got to pick, and he was taking the outside, so that put me down on the bottom, and just had to try to find a way to keep up and, you know, put that blinker on and see if somebody was nice enough to let me in and get on that faster top line. I think if we would have had a few less cautions there, the track, the bottom was coming in where it was almost even with that other line. I tried it there at the end, and it was close. It just wasn't quite there yet. So a little bit more wear on that top side. I think we would have been side by side and really had a good finish.
Heading into next week with Dirt Track at Charlotte, the championship and season finale, what are your thoughts?
You know, I think it's been a really good season. It's the first time I've raced with all these guys and really enjoying it. For the most part, real clean racing, good group of folks. Maybe Tyler will be busy next week or something, and it'll give me a chance to win the points. I don't know.
We'll see. But before I go ahead and let you go, anyone else that you'd like to give a shout out to for your third place finish?
Nope, just really, you know, anybody that tunes in, especially hangs out this long to hear me jabber on. Thanks for supporting the league. And then, you know, the guys that put the league on, always appreciate people that take time out of their day to do that. So,
well, we thank you for your time, for allowing us to interview you, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
I hope so.
Well, that was Steven Spees finishing in the third place position. Devin, your thoughts before we head into Charlotte for next week?
Well, that's the first thought. Excited for next week, the championship race. Where the season starts at Charlotte is where we end it as well. Just excited to be able to get back out here on Friday night, and we will be able to crown a champion in season number 3 of the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. So, yeah, just ready to rock and roll, Gary.
Well, your update for the point standings, at least your top 3 coming into tonight, was Tyler Jackson, Justin Morton, Steven Spees, all separated by 28 points in total. And now it's Tyler Jackson with 717 points, creating a 79-point gap to Steven Spees with 638 points. And that leaves Steven Spees in second place. Justin Morton, no major change. Just actually, he'll be falling back to third place with still 611 points. So that is going to be your point standings going into next week for the dirt track at Charlotte. And before we sign off here, we'd like to thank the Cruise Shop, where you can contact at 260-755-6125 or thecruiseshopfw.com. And they're dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams one destination at a time. Thanks to them for sponsoring the league. And thanks to the league, the Bootleg Racing League, for coverage of their Dirt Street Stock Series season for this race. It was absolutely amazing, really exciting to see how everyone races, and I'm looking forward so much to next week. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde for providing her wonderful music. You can contact her at the link below if you're interested in getting some of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media, which you can find over on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. That is gsrc.storenvy.com. Link is also in the description below. Don't forget to head over onto our YouTube page and hit that bright red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Set your preference to all so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. And the next Bootleg Racing League's race, at least for the Dirt Street Stock Series, is going to be the finale of the season over at the dirt track at Charlotte, June 12th at 5:10 p.m. Pacific, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. But you can also see other races here going across on your screen. If any of these catch your interest, go ahead and mark them down on your calendar. And for the team today, co-commentator Devin Henry, director Joe Peak, and camera provider Dougie Beard, I'm Gary Weaver, and we thank you for tuning in tonight. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.